Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 136. This week we're selecting our Luckless 15 to showcase England's strength in depth. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hey guys, welcome back. Just shy of the week, I think, this time around. Very efficient of us. It's been an interesting one following our last episode. Great to see so many of you spotting the little Easter egg that we put into last week's episode and calling us on it. That's what we wanted to see. What do you think, Dan? I didn't realise we were going down that. I didn't realise we were going down the route of full out line about us screwing up. But yeah, no, I'll stick with it. Good. Yeah. So I don't know what Dan's talking about, but of course I'm referring to our intentional mistake with the props last week, because as we always say, props, that's one of our areas of expertise. And being the semi-professional, totally impartial sporting pundits that we are, I'd like to thank those of you that got in touch, and there were a few of you, to correct our mistake.
And in fairness, rightly so.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create this conversation with you guys, the listeners. So, if you think we have accidentally made mistakes, you weren't to know that we intentionally did it this time around. It's great that you get in touch and call us on it. And the first one of those was actually, who was it from? Tom Berry. It's been in touch.
Oh, we know Tom. Yeah.
And he said, great last pod. And so that was an old one, actually. He didn't say that. He said, come on, lads, get your prop knowledge sorted. Vunipola, Marler, Genge and Moon are loose heads. Sinclair, Williams and Cole are tight heads. He said he spent the first 3 minutes of the pod shouting at his phone.
Fair enough. We need some prop experts. If there's any props out there, please let us know and we'll get you on the pod to help us when we chat props. Because
interesting that you should say that. So anyway, he goes on after a little bit of banter, and he said, if Marler's head is right, then Moon misses out for him. Because, of course, we sent home Dan Cole in our prediction last week on the basis that he was there was an extra, I think we said, get it wrong again now. I think we said there was,
let's not go down.
I think we said there was an extra loose head when in fact Dan Cole is a tight head, and the extra is in the loose head department where you have Vunipola, Marler, Genge and Moon. So really the question becomes, because we've already said we think Marler is in, do you keep Genge or Moon? And in the case of Tom here, he would keep Genge. And unfortunately, he says Moon misses out.
I think I agree with him, with my expert knowledge.
So, well, there you go. So that was the first of our comments.
But before we go on, what people, I think, what obviously people need to realise, props are like goalies in football, like goalkeepers in football. Yes, you can't have a team without them. They're hugely important, but they don't really count. They don't really count as human beings. They're just kind of like machines up front. So if we get props wrong, I'm okay. I'm okay to take that hit. Why am I winding up props? Why am I winding up the hardest people on the field?
I don't know. Why are you speaking? Oh, wait, it's because you needed to. Anyway, I'm just going to finish up what Tom said, because we like to share the comments that we get from our listeners. He says, if Marler's head's right, then Moon misses out, in my opinion. Genge offers something explosive and different as third loose head. Moon really only needed as a solid scrummager to anchor things down from the start if no Vunipola or Marler. Harsh but big calls need to be made to win a World Cup. Great shout on dropping Shields to keep Cipriani. Hadn't thought of half the awesome foursome's ability to cover back row, giving that flexibility. He said, Christ, you almost sounded like rugby experts for a minute or two.
Almost, but you know us, we like to rein it back in.
Exactly. Stephen Few, he got in touch with us on Facebook and said, just to let you know, you got most of the prop positions wrong, loose versus tight head. Thanks, Stephen. As we pointed out, it was entirely intentional. Of course. And then finally, Andrew Moore got back in touch with us. No doubt it's going to be to say something similar. He says, here you go. You'll like this one. He says, great show as normal, guys. After listening to your last show, I could not agree more with your squad selection from the England training squad. Absolutely spot on in my opinion. And as you guys said, we will win the World Cup. I know I sent my squad selection a while back and I'm pretty pleased with how close I was. Like I said, I believe we will win the World Cup. However, I'm a little worried about how few caps some of the squad have. I know if you're good enough to play at international level, it shouldn't matter, but Eddie has had the last 4 years to get these players blooded and tested. With the players he relied upon, such as Danny Kerr, no longer needed, that's a lot of experience gone, and being the number 9 is crucial to have that experience. I think you guys are right with the 9 and 10 combo of the Tigers pair and the Saracens pair. I think that will be crucial to us winning the World Cup. And as always, guys, great pod and great listen. P.S. I take it you guys weren't in the front row in your playing days. Marla, Mako, Genge and Moon, Loosehead, Cole, Sinclair, Williams, Tighthead. It did make me chuckle hearing you get tied up in knots over that one. If you ever want a front row opinion, quite happy to oblige.
Well, that could be our man. We did get a bit caught up, but thanks a lot for the review.
I don't know how many more times I can say it, Dan. It was intentional, remember?
Oh, sorry. So yeah, intentional. And well done, guys, for catching on.
Exactly. You passed the test. Congratulations, gold stars.
Yeah. We're not morons.
Interestingly, the good news about our intentional mistake is that we got quite a few new reviews, and lots of people wanting to let us know about our mistakes, but giving us 5 stars in the process. So, best pod ever, said Amal Catering. Amal Catering. There you go.
Amal, thank you, legend.
5 stars. Absolutely loving the pods. However, I never listen. How have I never listened earlier? Great banter. Is there any chance of you lads doing 2 pods a week? And it's actually Andy from Newcastle, known as Amal Catering. So cheers, Andy. And then 5 stars. A short review. Harley Quinn. We've heard from him before. Tommy, I think this is. This time, he's a bit more detail. He says, "What can I say about this podcast? Allow me to share with you my thoughts. These 2 legends have given the people of this United Kingdom something we haven't had for a very long time. Hope. Hope that England Rugby will reign victorious at the Rugby World Cup in Japan and bring the Webb Ellis Cup back to the Northern Hemisphere, where it bloody well belongs. Their enthusiasm, theories, player knowledge and insight for the game make it easy for us to make the decision that there is only one rugby podcast you need to listen to. So download, subscribe and join the rest of us by grabbing a few beers, putting on your rose-tinted glasses that are thicker than a tight head's thighs and enjoy this wonderfully biased but truthful view of how England Rugby are the best team in the world. Yours sincerely, Tommy, another biased England fan." 5 stars.
I like this guy. I like this guy
That's a
a
good
lot.
one. Yeah, appreciate that. Then we had great pod, 5 stars from SMH14. He says, "Hi, found your pod a while back and love listening. Great to see a pod from a fan's point of view. I love your rose-tinted glasses, but needed to clarify props positions in the 35-man squad. Loosehead props, Moon, Genge, Marla, Vunipola. Tighthead props, Cole, Williams, Sinclair. Correct. So for me, Moon would drop out along with Ludham, Francis." Okay.
Ludlam, Lewis Ludlam,
McConaughey. Yeah, so basically everything else is exactly what we said. Keep up the good work. 5 stars there. We had from somebody who's unnamed, just a number, but decent pod, like mates chatting about rugby. Can you please learn who plays loose and tight head though? 3 stars. If you know now that you know it was intentional, / we're putting our hands up. Keep listening, and if you feel that the pod deserves an extra star or 2, you can always change your review. But appreciate getting in touch. Thanks for that one. And then finally from Josh Copping, 5 stars. Great podcast. There is nothing more, something I guess he's meant to say, than seeing that the England Rugby Pod has uploaded another episode. Love listening to this podcast. Keep up the good work, guys. Josh Copping.
So they're great reviews. I mean, we piss about, but we did properly screw up, as we often, as we pretty much always do with props. Yeah, I mean, I did, and you were very good not to call me on it, not to embarrass me in front of
in front of
the listeners. Yeah, exactly. You know, I hate that. Guys, thanks so much for reviews, and absolutely, completely call us when we are complete morons, because. It happens, and that's the point, isn't it? Sort of down the rugby, like down the pub, I will often fight a corner for something, then halfway through, when someone calls me on it, I'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm wrong here. Do I give up now, or do I just fight it a bit longer, then quit later?"
Fight and quit later?
Normally I carry on a bit, and then a bit later on, I'll wait till things calm down and go up to them and be like, "I may have been wrong. My bad."
Or you just you wait until the opportunity presents itself to start fighting the other corner. And when they call you on it, you go, "What are you on about? This is what I've always said." Oh, must have been confusion. We cross wires. We were both saying the same thing.
I like that.
That's how I roll. Anyway, yeah, so some great reviews there. Really appreciate that, guys. Keep them coming. We love reading them out, and obviously, yeah, where there are questions, answering them as best we can. And of course, yeah, when you point out our faults, we like to come up with bizarre, fanciful stories as to why we made those mistakes, like today's. So appreciate it. Dan, today's episode is actually going to be led, I think, more by you, because you have picked your England World Cup 15 that isn't going to the World Cup.
Yes.
I'm curious.
So we put together a team, and this doesn't involve any players currently involved in the training squad. So even though there's some who we think are likely to be left out, this doesn't involve any of them. And this is where I would love people to get involved, get in touch, and let us know thoughts, because there's
let us know your 15s. Like they might be similar, they might be the same, or they might be completely different. Because the great thing about England rugby at the moment is there's so much strength in depth, and so this is just one iteration of a possible 15 that isn't going to go to the World Cup. And it's fascinating to see the quality that isn't going to get a chance to play in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite a good one. Do you want me to just jump into it?
I think that may be the best way, mate.
Do you reckon?
Both feet first. Like do it.
So I'm going to start with the front row, and I'm pretty sure I've got this right.
Do you know what Loosehead is?
Loosehead. Is that just a prop that's a bit dumber than the other prop?
Do you know what? I always thought Loosehead was the one who had part of his head wasn't in the scrum, and Tighthead had someone else's head either side. Because you know that they're obviously just off to the side. Do you know what I mean? Almost like an open side and blind side.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that not? Oh.
Let's
not get Dan. Let's not get into a debate about props. We've already made it quite clear that we know everything there is to know about propping. Let's not embarrass anyone by schooling them on prop related details.
Exactly. Well, let's get this one done quickly.
Just tell me two of your props.
Bal Rapava Ruskin from Gloucester as my Loosehead.
Nice.
Good player. And as Tighthead, I've actually gone, he seems to have fallen a bit out of favour, and I think he might have been injured, but I've gone Kieran Brooks.
Okay.
I still think he's got a lot to offer. Now, let's skip on from props. I think we've probably propped it out enough.
I'm just going to, obviously we're not including players, as you just said, from the current training squad, but I think in hindsight, following on from the various comments that we got and what we said last week, it's no longer Dan Cole that gets the drop, but probably Ben Moon. So obviously because there are going to be 7 people dropped from that squad, so those 7 more than likely would be part of this as well. But yeah, anyway, moving on. But
then, they're not for the sake of argument.
You know a lot about hookers.
So, well, I do. These guys may be on a bit more than I'd be willing to fork out. But it's, in case my missus is listening, that's a joke.
She won't be.
No, of course she won't. I've gone Harry Thacker. So there were 3 I had in mind. I had Harry Thacker, Dylan Hartley, or Jack Yandel from Exeter. Now, to me, Jack Yandel's probably a good shout. I actually think, I know Dylan Hartley, an injury team. I actually think Harry Thacker is playing the best rugby at the moment. I think Harry Thacker looks like an awesome prospect. So I'll put him at hooker.
That's interesting. I'm happy with that. But I think, Dylan Hartley would be my choice if he was fit and just not selected. I think we give him the benefit of the doubt and say the only reason he's not going to Japan is because of injury. There's sort of...
I think that's very likely, isn't it?
Debate. Well, there is an injury, but would he be going if there wasn't... We go backwards and forwards with it, don't we? He doesn't have enough time playing. A bit like Sam Simmons. There hasn't been enough game time to really justify his place, and everything's been based on experience and leadership. And whilst those are important, and we in the past have kind of said that that's enough because he's that good a leader, I don't know. But the bottom line is we'll never know, because Eddie was pretty clear, wasn't he, when he said we don't deal in maybes or whatever. His
hypotheticals, I believe was the word he used.
But yeah, if if Hartley was fit, I would have him in this team as the captain.
Yeah, I think his leadership skills would be huge here.
But under the circumstances, happy to say that he's out of the running, and as much as anything, he is injured, so we can't really select him.
Yeah, so well, I guess we can, because I have selected some injury players, but I'm glad we've stopped talking about hookers, because my missus has literally just turned up. But I would stick with Harry Thacker. I've just got a nice eyeball there. Second row, in the row, I have gone Atwood Esekwe.
Yeah, I mean Esekwe, you've got to have in there. He's got to be one of the next in line. But what can you do when you've got the awesome foursome ahead of you? Yeah. Do you know what? I want. Well,
Charlie Ewels is next in line, isn't he?
Because of course he is. He's in the squad. But only until August, whenever it is that the team gets announced. And
I'm still just a massive Atwood fan. So so I've gone Atwood Esekwe.
Or bring back Jono. You know, whatever floats your boat.
Fuck me! Could you imagine Jono back? He would still because he'd be in the squad. If he was still playing, he'd still. And
then you wouldn't need Hartley. So
exactly.
That would actually solve that particular issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. People get in touch. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. But yeah, Esekwe definitely. But the awesome foursome. Listen, I was just saying, I really want to hear at some point in mainstream media the four of them referred to as the awesome foursome, because that is ours. We own that. It should be copyright. And I'm loving that our listeners are getting in touch and just referring to them as the awesome foursome. Like, of course, that's what they're called. They've always been known as that.
So I would love that. I'm not convinced we're big enough for that to happen.
What are you talking
about? I mean, you might get a few pundits coming in just to listen to our prop knowledge, but other than that,
before they have to discuss propping, this is probably exactly where they come to just tune up their knowledge.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that's where we could have, but John Oates unfortunately not about. So Atwood Esekwe, right, back row. I've gone full Exeter.
And you've got to have Don Armand, right?
Of course, I've got Don Armand.
I've
gone Don Armand at 6. This is changeable, but I've put it down as Don Armand at 6, Matt Kovacic at 7, and Sam Simmons at 8. There's a couple of other players who I've got also, like Nathan Hughes has to be in that conversation because of what he's done, but to me, he's not been playing that well. And Don Brandt.
Yes.
I think Don Brandt's had a great season. There's also the likes of, you've got like a Ted Hill, Ben Curry. But for me, I've gone Armand, Kovacic and Simmons. I think that's an awesome man.
You've been calling for Kovacic for like forever.
I love that guy.
You've been calling for Don Armand forever. And
I love that guy.
And I think Sam Simmons, if it wasn't for the fact that he's only just come back from injury and he's had literally like a week of game time to sort of try and prove himself, and it's just not enough this close to a World Cup. I think he'd be in that squad. So I think that's a pretty strong back row, even though it is the Exeter back row.
I think it'd be in with a hell of a shout, wouldn't
And I think Don Brandt, as good as he probably is going to be, and as good as he was for the Barbars, I think it's too soon. The guy was on the beers at uni last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, what a legend.
He's not quite the modern, archetypical modern rugby player just yet. But he's going to get there. He's going to be a pretty special player. So I think we just watch this space with him and. He'll get his shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty special at the moment. I mean, the season he's had, bearing in mind, as I think it's, God, why am I forgetting names now? Gustard. As I think he said, uni body, but the rugby he's playing has been pretty special. But he's in the conversation. But I would still stick with Armand, Kovacic, Simmons as a back row, and I think that's a pretty.
It's been an almost winning formula, hasn't it? So.
It's been a winning formula, but sometimes a win doesn't happen right at the death when it would be useful for them to have it.
Yeah.
But never mind. Right, number 9. I've stuck with Danny Kerr.
You have to. You have to.
I mean,
you need a bit. Apart from anything, you need a bit of experience in here. If we were picking a 23, Dan Robson is your other 9. But yeah, Danny Kerr. He must have been so close. I don't, like you said, he's a Harlequin, so maybe that explains things. But
Oh yeah, he hates Quins, doesn't he?
Although he has just called Marler out of retirement.
Yeah, but that's because Marler's just awesome.
Well, fine, but anyway, yeah, I agree with you. Danny Care has to be the kind of the choice 9 for the unlucky to miss out 15.
10. I can't look beyond Marcus Smith.
I don't think you can. I think Marcus Smith is probably 4th in line for the first team. Like if you were to look at England's fly halves, I think it's the 3 that are in training and Marcus Smith make up the 4th. And the fact that Marcus Smith Eddie's involved him so much in training squads and things over the, not just recently, but really for the last couple of years. Eddie certainly has clearly got his eye on this guy. He was phenomenal against the Barbars. He's doing great things at Quins. He's going to be a superstar of the future. What is he, like 19?
He's I think it's on that. I think it's almost 12? 2 years. Yeah.
But yeah, so he is the best 10 available.
Yeah, I mean the other one I've got on the sideline is Tommy Farrell.
Isn't he months old?
Yeah, exactly.
Early,
so I think he'll be ready. With his breeding,
his shoulders big enough.
His shoulders are easily big enough. He is going to be smashing left, right, and centre. But Marcus Smith, we got right centres. This is where I'm not sure that I've got the combination right. Both players, I think, are awesome, but I'm not sure if it's the right combination. I have gone Lazowski and Joe Marchant. What do we reckon?
I think Joe Marchant's kind of big and solid and gives you the sort of the Tuilagi-Teo-esque, but with a little bit of JJ mixed in, like with his ability to find gaps, and he's not just a crash ball Marchant. So yeah, I think it probably works.
I think that can work. They're both quality players.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what the alternatives are.
So alternatives, I've put Mark Atkinson from Gloucester. I've put another Gloucester player who's one of the best players in the world, Billy Twelvetrees.
No, Vito.
Why? I love
Vito.
Billy.
I know you love Billy. It's weird.
His blonde curly locks.
To the point where it's become weird. No, I think they're a good choice. I know I'm doing a lot of agreeing, but that's kind of this is Dan's 15, so really it doesn't matter what I think. This is the 15 he's chosen. I think that you've made the right call there, Mr. Wood.
Oh, thank you very much. Wingers, I have gone Chris Ashton. I think he is a shoo-in, and the other one I've actually gone Denny Solomona, and I've got an honourable mention for Ollie Fawley, and also Alex Lewington.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing with Chris Ashton is, does he count as being unlucky to miss out because he took himself out of contention for perfectly good reasons? But I guess it depends. Is this the unlucky 15, or is it just the best 15 that's not going? I guess if it's that, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's I still think Chris Ashton is the best of the rest. He's not there for whatever reason.
I agree, but my point is that he would be in the training squad.
Of course he would, yeah.
If he hadn't taken himself out. So he wouldn't be available to us unless he'd made the decision not to go to the World Cup. So maybe it's unfair to include him. So maybe actually you should pick one of the others, even though he would be there if we're including the training squad rejects.
I'm going to stick with the Ash Splash.
No, you have to pick one of the others. That's what I'm telling you.
So I have to pick one of the others, in which case I'm going Ollie Fawley.
Thorley it is then. And of course, there's only one man to stand at the back.
Yeah.
Alex Good.
Of course.
Who should be in the training squad?
He should be in the training squad, but and this is going to... A lot of people won't necessarily agree with me. I understand why he's not now.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, looking at who you've got at fullback, because would you have him ahead of... so the only two fullbacks in my mind who he's looking at is Elliot Daly and Anthony Watson.
Yeah.
Would you have him ahead of one of them?
Well, on paper, he's better than both of them.
Well...
2 years running.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced he's... I think Elliot Daly's a better player than him. I would have Watson and Daly ahead of him.
It's a conundrum, Dan, but it's one that we don't need to answer because we're never going to find out because for whatever reason, Eddie Jones does not see it. But we can for this team because Eddie Jones isn't picking this team, we are. So, yeah, glad to see him finally get his England shout. Or another England shout. He's obviously got caps.
Yeah.
I just hope he calls to thank us for selecting him.
So if you, yeah, he should do. He should do. Like me and him live fairly close to each other. He should probably call me out for a beer, to be honest. But looking at that team, that's a pretty damn good team, isn't it? I'm trying to cut down on the swearing because I know we've got some younger listeners now, but
it's a very good team, and the fact that it's made up of people that are not part of the wider squad, not even part of the training squad, let alone the 31-man squad that's going to go to the World Cup. It's amazing. It's just great for English rugby that we can have that much strength in depth, that we can put together a strong side from people who are not going to be involved in the World Cup.
So from that, I'm going to put it's probably a tricky question. From that 15, if you could just take one of them to the World Cup, and don't worry, you don't have to replace them with anyone or anything like that, which would be the best way to do it.
It's becoming a 32-man squad.
Yeah, 32-man squad. Which one would you take?
Part of me, I'm leaning. So you've got Dylan Hartley for his leadership, what we've just said. So if you're taking an extra man, I think, particularly as he potentially doesn't get used, but his leadership can still be quite valuable. So I think there's definite value in that. I think Danny Kerr, for his experience, could be really valuable if you had room for an extra scrum half. But again, he might not get used. Although I guess that's the case with any of these, isn't it? Or Sam Simmons, maybe, who I feel like...
That's a good shout. I feel like
we've talked about the fact that we've only got one number 8, and although Sam Simmons isn't a traditional number 8, he is a number 8 first and foremost. And at the moment, we've only got Billy as the out-and-out 8. So maybe having that extra man in the back row, to give us specific 8 cover. And actually, if you've got him on the bench, you've got options, haven't you? If you decide that actually, for whatever reason, you need a kind of a back row that's made up of 3 slightly more flanker-like players. I mean, that's a silly thing to say because there's lots of other flankers. Yeah, we've only got Billy as an out-and-out number 8, so maybe that would be a good shout.
Oh, I like Sam Simmons. That's a good one. Do you know who I'm taking?
I'm Billy 12 Trees.
I would take Billy, but he's got loads of hairdressing appointments in and things just to look after that beautiful hair. I might go Kovacic.
Interesting. Or Don Armand.
Those were the two I had, Armand or Kovacic, because I think you would use them.
I don't think
Kovacic,
they need. I don't think
both
you need.
Could be 8.
Yeah,
but Sam Simmons is a great shout. And when you said Sam Simmons, it made me think maybe that's a better call.
I think if you're leaning towards an 8, take the 8. Don't take a 6 or a 7 that can play 8 because we've already got cover at 6 and 7.
But I might go Kovacic because I'm not sure that our 6, unless they do what you've been shouting for and put both Underhill and Curry there.
What you think that we've only got the one 6? Well, where would Toje covers 6, right?
Laws Toje can cover, but that's why perhaps Don Armand.
But that's what I'm saying. So you've already got a world class 6. You've got 2 world class 7s currently involved, and you've got a world class 8. But you've got other people who can cover 6. Would it be better to have another 8? Because although you could argue that there are players that could cover 8, it's not the same thing. Like Laws, Itoje, they play both 6 and in the second row. Whereas if you were to move one of our current flankers to 8, that's not where they play. You're asking them to play a different role. Whereas I think if you had a Sam Simmons there, you've actually got specific cover for 8.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, let us know what you would do, or if there's someone we've missed. And as Dan said at the beginning, we've got loads of you sending us your teams for the 31-man squad. Chuck us over your 15s for the unlucky 15. What would your unlucky 15 look like? As that would be an interesting one to compare And maybe next week we'll do, I don't know, the injured 15, or maybe we'll do like a World Cup, a World Cup 15 made up from all the different nations of players that are not going to be involved through injury or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
Or we do an episode dedicated purely to props because of how good our knowledge is.
That's not a bad idea. By the way, Andrew, also, if you're listening, because it sounds like you might have some prop knowledge, give us a shout. We might see if we can get you on, and or other prop people. But give us a shout, and we wouldn't mind a prop expert.
Exactly. Although we probably want to make sure it's for a dedicated episode where there's a reason to talk
well, whether
props.
It's next week or another time, but yeah, at some point
I'm not sure we want to talk for 45 minutes just about props.
No, but if we do a
10-minute
even
segment.
a short bit, we probably need to sort out this prop malarkey sooner rather than later.
Well, we need to do it properly.
Oh, nice.
I guess
to prop up the podcast.
Yeah, stop now. Stop now. I think that probably is all we have time for this week.
There's a couple of other things.
There's always a couple of other things. Go.
Sorry. The James Small, South African World Cup winner, who's unfortunately passed away age 50, absolute legend of a player. Rest in peace, sir. You were an absolute servant of rugby, and our thoughts go out to your family and things. It's I don't know the details of what happened, but I believe it was a heart attack. But James Small, rest in peace, sir. You are an absolute rugby legend.
Indeed.
Which was that was the main thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing. So next week you're saying hopefully we'll get more from the England camp. Hopefully we'll get an update of what's going on, how it's looking. I don't know that, but that would be lovely. And
is that what your spies tell you?
That's what my sources are starting to hint at. So let's hope that's the case. Other than that, is there anything else that you?
Clearly not, because I was just calling time on the episode.
Have you got some worksheets carrying on with?
Always, mate. Always.
Always.
I'm a busy man. I'm a busy man.
You are a busy man. You are.
I should. In fact, I don't know why we don't do advertising on this podcast, but I should probably at least advertise my own business. So, guys, if you're looking for your summer holidays or you're planning to get away later this year or any holidays really, I currently have a business called Travel Scoop, travelscoop.co.uk. You can find us on social media, or you can head over to our website, sign up, get our emails. There's loads of amazing holidays that we chuck out on a regular basis. So yeah, get over there and sign up if you fancy taking yourself away on a fancy holiday.
Lovely.
There you go. Bit of pod advertising there. First one. Didn't have to pay for it.
Well, mate, in fairness, you sorted out the pod, set it up, and it's your company, so I think you can probably get away with that.
Is that allowed? So. Is that allowed?
Yeah. I'm going to let that one go.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you to all of our new listeners and everyone who's been reviewing us and sending their comments and questions. Let's keep that going. Let's get even more reviews in. Let's try and climb up those iTunes rankings and just try and get as many of you listening, because it's not long to go now. So yeah, as always, at England Rugby Pod on social media, englandrugbypod@gmail.com if you want to chuck us an email, let us know your thoughts. And get over to iTunes, rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And we will catch you next week.
Take care, guys.